Yeah, I think there's been a little talk over recent weeks that they've needed own goals and they've had some tight victories that weren't kind of, flowing properly as we're used to seeing Arsenal. What it was to be how they kind of progress through a game and get better going on. Arsenal didn't allow it. Too strong, too aggressive, too thorough, too strong off the bench as well, and important players being back, Gabriel being an absolute beast of a defender, not just the defensive side, of course, of what he does in the box, attacking set pieces as well. So strength throughout, hunger throughout, desire throughout, and just weren't allowing Villa any type of momentum shift, which is what they've used over the last 4 or 5 games.
Well, speaking of the momentum shift, which is what we expected in the second half, it came from Arsenal, not Aston Villa. What did Arsenal do different in the second half that allowed this scoreline?
They allowed their football to play the tension out of the game, and they finished the chances and got the goals, and all of a sudden you saw the difference in the goal in the two teams. People coming off the bench made a difference. But if I can talk about the two Gabriels, and I'm talking one, the defender, who's not only an outstanding defender in what he does defensively, he brings a spirit to this football club that they miss when he's not there. And then Gabriel Jesus coming on with that goal, with his first touch, could be so important for Arsenal to have somebody like him around the football club as they go into the second half of the season, with Gyökeres not scoring goals particularly. And I saw one shot which I thought was really interesting right at the end of the game, where Gyökeres went up to Jesus and was the person who's slightly disappointed tonight. It's Victor Gyökeres, because 4 goals have gone in for Arsenal and he's not got one. And that's what he was brought to do. But this squad, this group, are going to win it through goals coming from different areas of the pitch. And if they would end up winning the title and Gyökeres only gets 8 or 9 goals, that's still a job well done.
OK, well, you mentioned the two Gabriels, so let's hear from them both. For Arsenal, and 2 pretty proud players there, and as they should be. 4 goals, bookended really by those 2 players. How key are they to Arsenal's squad?
Well, I talked about what Gabriel, the defender, brings to the team in not just defensive work, but the set pieces. I mean, every set piece that goes in, he's involved in. You can see the Aston Villa players are so nervous around that. But Gabriel Jesus may have a really important role on days when it isn't working for Gyökeres, or they play a slightly different team or different formation. He's a title winner with Manchester City. He's a sharp, incisive. He's had time out of football that he would be thinking about, getting back in and what he can do. So that's a really big bit of business. Let's not forget Kai Havertz is another player who can come back as well. So the bench is stacked, and the bench will play a big part of Arsenal going to win this title.
Declan Rice wasn't playing today. They've missed certain players throughout this season, and I think Lee Dixon talked about it in the commentary. The squad is so strong, they're missing nobody. Can almost like anybody can be out. Saliba's been out, Gabriel's been out, Havertz's been out a long time. They've all, the star players have been out, but they can bring people in. Martin Odegaard deserves a mention for me as well, because he hasn't been playing great. The last few games when they needed him to step up a little bit, I think he's been excellent. He assisted a brilliant ball into Zubimendi for his goal, scored last time at the weekend. He's really starting to find his form. You add that to the squad and to the new players, and big Gabriel coming back defensively, they're going to take some stopping.
They are. And now they have the... what's so interesting, as we were speaking about it before we really began our coverage today, you look at where Arsenal were a few weeks ago, they had a chance to really extend their lead at the top of the table, and then you look at where they are today, and they had a chance to be caught by Aston Villa.
This was big today. This was a statement. This was like the nervousness and the people talking about the pressure and everything closing up. That was, against the most informed team in the Premier League, and they put 4 goals past them. And I think that's another step now to go into 2026 and really push on again and trying to get that gap that they had, what was it, like 6 weeks ago? Yeah,
not only did they put 4 goals past them, but they put all 4 goals past them in the second half, which has been Aston Villa's strongest performance in their recent games. It wasn't a clean sheet, though, for Arsenal. Ultimately, Ollie Watkins did.
There have been goals around the Premier League this evening, except for in our feature game at the Emirates Stadium, where it is incredibly close. Let's look at the best chance, perhaps, for Aston Villa in the first half, and that came from Ollie Watkins, just 13 minutes in.
Yeah, well done from Ezra here to win the ball from the striker, and then he passes it. But Watkins, we expect a lot better from him in that situation. Again, Ezra really well. Watkins is waiting for the ball. Good pass from Ezra. Open up your body more or take it with your left. You have to minimum hit the target there. Without a doubt. This is the kind of chances, as an Aston Villa striker, away from home, at Arsenal, that you are going to be waiting for, and you might only get one.
Are you shooting there or passing?
No, I am shooting, but he has got also an opportunity to pass into his midfielder who is coming. I think it's Rodgers that is coming late into the box.
Okay. Here is that moment again, just to show Wrighty, maybe get your thoughts on this one?
No, because there's no way, as a striker of his calibre, he's supposed to be finishing that. Of course, there's a pass on, but, like, you've got blinkers on at this moment. Because this ball's coming to you, you can see it coming. He just didn't sort his feet out quick enough there. You see it come off his ankle.
Let's stick with you. Best chances for Arsenal in the first half came from Victor Gyökeres.
Yes. You know, there's two good headers. Good headed chances, I should say. This one, I think he's trying to hit that back where it's coming from. Obviously, it's almost like he's heading it back when he can't see through the back of the guy's head. But I think you just got to do everything you can to keep it down.
He needs to do better for me.
I think so. Yeah, you have to get that on target. But I think he does good in this. The movement we're all asking him for, to get yourself in front, and you just need to glance that. Can't put too much on it. Jimmy will know.
Yeah.
You just need to get any little clip on it because it's low enough. You don't need to put anything on it till you can take it over the bar. It's low enough. You just let that flick your head. You don't need to make it go up. You just let it flick your head and it will just divert it onto the goal.
Good movement.
You should know that.
Good movement from him coming across the two centre halves. And as Ian says, it's just a little soft one. You just need to just touch it a little bit because the goalkeeper...
You know the thing with those ones, Jim, is that because it's already at the height of the goal, so you don't need to make nothing happen to it. You just let it flick.
Let's say you mentioned good movement there, but overall, you've both been taking a closer look at his movement.
Yeah, there's like even the chance. This chance here, he's coming off too straight. The ball's too fast, hit too hard into him, and exactly what you should do as a defender, put him under pressure. And he's very fortunate that Ollie Watkins doesn't score there because I think it would have been a nightmare for him. And again, from this situation, I'm feeling at some stage you've got to. That's the space you want, Jim.
Yeah.
That's the space you want. But look where he ends up. That's where you want to be. So if this ball comes in, you can have. It's going between the. Look where he ends up. He's in a position where he
Saka
wouldn't even get
is actually.
And then you see Rodgers. Look at this movement from Rodgers. That's Rodgers and Marino. He's showing him inside, so he's coming off. And he's gone. Yeah. That is the movement that we need to be seeing.
So it's the work in advance first. To suck the defender or the midfielder in, and then out of a sudden you're gone. Yeah. And then you gain that little yard or that little whatever, and you are always going to be ahead.
The hard work.
And that's the
That's the hard work that gets you those tap-ins.
But it needs to become second nature.
Yeah.
You know, for him it needs to. You're in the Premier League now. You know, if you make straight runs, defenders are going to come with you. If you make angle runs or second or third movements, defenders are not going to be able to live with you. And that's what he has to do a little bit more. Yeah,
Gyökeres' numbers in the first 45, just 5 touches and no shots on target. Righty, Arsenal attacking mostly down the left. What does that tell us?
Well, it says to me that you want to be going down there, Trossard, in respects of having Sancho. Sancho doesn't want to be going that way. So I would be giving the ball to him a lot more to attack down that side so you can bring Sancho down there with you. And that's why I see that's why they're predominantly down the left side there.
4 live matches at the moment. There's 20 or so minutes to go, 10 or so to go in the City Ground. Chelsea 2, Bournemouth 2, Forest Hill, Everton 2, West Ham and Brighton are 2-2 as well. And Burnley have really been pushing Newcastle at Turf Moor, but they still trail by 2-1. And in our game here, Aston Villa have carried a threat, Jamie.
A huge threat, and a lot of the attacks has been exactly the same, right through the centre of the pitch. And you can't help but think, no Declan Rice, big opportunity there. You look at Onana, midfield player running through, should stay on his feet there. Daft going down. But it was the same attack constantly. This time Konza gets it, wins it too easily off Gyökeres, and Ollie Watkins, he has to score. Has to. So they should actually be in front here, Aston Villa, when you actually think of the attacks that they've had, and they've caused Arsenal real problems. And that's some achievement, because we are talking, as I said before the game, one of the best defensive units. Yeah, I mean, Tielemans, fantastic in midfield, super player. But it's been far too easy to come through the centre of Arsenal, and you never, ever see that. And again, look at the space there. Zubamendi trying to get back, that's not his skill set, you know, his power, his running ability, as you'd see with a Declan Rice. And he has been a huge miss for them in that first half. But fortunately for them, Aston Villa haven't capitalised on that. This one might have been offside, I think, but brilliant defending from Saliba. And I think Watkins would have put that one away if he'd had the opportunity, but I think it would have been just offside.
As far as Arsenal are concerned, Gyökeres with their best chances, and you probably think, Ashley, he should have scored this, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I think that he sees it all the way. You know, it's a great stand-up. And you'd be thinking there, you know, he's seen it coming onto his head. I don't know whether Victor puts him off a little bit, but for me, I think as a striker, you've got to score that, or at least hit the target.
And then the other chance was a Gyökeres header as well.
Yeah, of course he was. You know, he's getting himself in the box and, you know, he's making the right runs. It's just getting on the score sheet. And this one here, you know, he makes a great run to the near post and he gets in front of his defender, but just can't direct it on.
You credit the movement.
Yeah, it was great movement by him to get himself in that near post. It's just now hitting a target and getting on the score sheet.
So both sides have had